Welcome to the class, children. Now today we will study the next part of the chapter transport of food and minerals in the plant. In first part you have studied the various facts like the tissues which are required for the transport of water, minerals and food, xylem and phloem, their structure, as well as processes by which water, mineral and food is transported to the different parts of the plant: diffusion, osmosis, active transport, and structure of root hair. How is water transported to the different parts of the plant? The process ascent of sap. Now in this part we will study further the transpiration, factors affecting transpiration, translocation of food from the leaves, and minerals and their types. So, open your book, open the page number 9, and we'll start our next part of the chapter. Underline the key terms as I guided you last time also. So, we will revise some of the portion of transpiration and absorption. So children, this already I explained you that what is transpiration. That transpiration is actually the process by which extra water is given off in the air as water vapor through the stomata present on the lower epidermis of the leaf. The loss of water in the form of water vapor. Okay, so water vapor is lost from the leaf pores, which is a stomata. So the loss of water in the form of water vapor through the stomata of leaves and other aerial parts, this is known as the transpiration. Besides stomata, transpiration also occurs through lenticels, which are the tiny pores on the surface of stems, and the cuticle also, which is waxy layer found on the layer on the leaves. So this is transpiration. And there is direct relationship in the transpiration and the absorption of water in the plant. As water is lost through transpiration, then more water is absorbed as more water is required, and this creates a suction pressure which pulls the water up from xylem of roots to the stem and then to the leaves. It is called as transpiration pull, that you have studied already. I explained you. So this transpiration pull helps in the ascent of sap, that is upward movement of water. So thus the amount of water in the roots gets reduced, and in turn water from the surrounding soil passes to the root hair cells by the process of osmosis, and thus the cycle continues. So this is transpiration. Now we will see further that what happens when there is continuous loss of water through the transpiration. So if water is lost through transpiration more quickly, then it is absorbed by the root hair. Loss of water is faster. Okay, then it is absorbed by the root hair cells. So the plant cells, they tend to lose water, and as a result the leaves, stem and flowers, they droop. This is called as wilting. So understand the new term wilting is there, underlined in your book. Now we'll see the factors affecting the rate of transpiration. So what are the factors which affect the rate of transpiration? First, sunlight. The rate of transpiration is more during the daytime. Why it is there? Because stomata, they are open during day and they remain closed at night, so no transpiration takes place at night. So more transpiration during the day. Now what is the effect of temperature? Temperature shows effect there that more on a hot day. Transpiration is more on a hot day as compared to the cold day. Means Higher the temperature, more is the transpiration. As the stomata, they are quite open at that time during the day when the temperature is higher. Now, wind. The transpiration rate is more if the wind is blowing. This is because water vapor is removed faster from the leaves. So, when wind is blowing, then the transpiration rate is more. And the last point is humidity. What is the effect of humidity? If the air is humid, the rate of transpiration is low. Air is humid. Humidity means amount of water vapor present in the atmosphere. So, if the surrounding of the plant has more water vapor, means more humid, then the rate of transpiration will be low. So, these are the factors affecting the rate of transpiration: sunlight, temperature, wind and humidity. Now we will study importance of transpiration. How does transpiration help to the plants? So, it shows cooling effect. How? When there is rapid loss of water vapor from a plant's aerial parts, it brings down its temperature. In this manner, transpiration decreases the temperature of the plant. So, it keeps the plant cool. Now, ascent of sap and distribution of minerals. Transpiration results in the development of low water potential in the leaf tissues. Just now I have discussed. Transpiration pool is created and thus water moves from the xylem tissue to the leaf cells and helps in the ascent of sap. As well as mineral ions also move up along with the water due to the transpiration pool. Transpiration helps in the removal of excess water also, because plant absorb more water than it requires. So, transpiration helps in removing the excess water. So, understood children? Importance of transpiration: cooling effect, ascent of sap and distribution of mineral, removal of excess water. Now, in the next topic, we will study translocation. Translocation of food from leaves. As we have studied, transport of water and minerals from root to the different parts of the plant in upward direction against the gravity, we called it as a ascent of sap. Now, the food which is synthesized, manufactured in the green leaves of a plant during photosynthesis, this food is transported throughout the plant by the phloem tissue. That I explained you. What is phloem? The sieve tubes which are present in phloem, they transport the food. So, transport of soluble products of photosynthesis, that is the sugar molecule, it is called the translocation. So, what is translocation? It is the long distance transport of food material within a plant. So, you can understand this through this diagram also, that glucose produced by photosynthesis in leaf is converted to the sugar, mainly sucrose, and translocated means transported to the different parts of the plant. Okay, this food can be stored in the fruit also, and this food is utilized by the plant by getting the energy in the growing parts, and this food can be stored in the storage organs also like tubers. So, this is translocation of food. Now, we will study minerals in plant. So, you have already studied that plants take up essential minerals from the soil, and plants, they require about 17 minerals for their proper growth and development. And these minerals are required not only in sufficient quantities but also in the appropriate ratios. So, let me see on that basis types of minerals. So, minerals that are required in large quantities, they are macronutrients. Large quantity means 0.2 to 0.4% of dry weight. Okay, here also I have given one more value, that in excess of 10 mol per kg, you can write in percent also, 0.2 to 0.4% of the dry weight. So they are known as the macronutrient. Here this another kind of nutrients where they are required in very minute quantities, measured in parts per million, and about 0.1 to 0.02% of the dry weight of plant, means very less. They are known as the micronutrients, or they are known as the trace element also. Let me see the examples of micronutrient and macronutrient. Macronutrients include carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, potassium, calcium and magnesium. Micronutrients are iron, manganese, copper, molybdenum, zinc, boron, chlorine and nickel. So these are the minerals required for the proper growth of plant. And macronutrients, they are non-toxic in slightly excessive quantity, but micronutrients, they show toxic effect if their amount increases. So they are required in very less amount. Some macronutrient contribute in the development of osmotic potential in the cell. They do not play any role in the development of osmotic potential. Osmotic potential means that is the osmotic pressure and osmosis process we have studied. So they are required for the osmosis, they are not required for the osmosis. So these two types of minerals, macronutrient and micronutrient. Now we will see importance of minerals in plants. So minerals are necessary for plants due to following reasons. First, they are required for the growth and development. About 17 minerals are essential for the growth and development of the plants. Just some examples, just now we have seen macro and micronutrients. So they are required for the growth and development. Then the formation of plant body, some minerals or several minerals are there. They are the constituents of protoplasm in the cell wall. Minerals are required to maintain the cell shape also in plants. So the minerals found in the cell shape are necessary for the absorption of water and maintenance of cell turgidity and cell shape. Minerals like boron and potassium, they help in translocation of food through the phloem. So help the phloem to transport the food. So understood children, the important functions here of the minerals: growth and development, formation of plant body, maintenance of cell shape and phloem transport, that is transport of food by the phloem. Now as we have seen there, if their amount is less or more, it causes problem in the plant body. So we will study in the next topic deficiency diseases in the plant. What are deficiency diseases? Deficiency diseases are the diseases when plant do not get essential mineral nutrients in sufficient quantities. So when plant does not get essential minerals, then it shows certain symptoms. Growth does not take place properly and some plant dies also sometime. So this causes deficiency diseases. So some deficiency diseases we will discuss here. First, deficiency disease due to nitrogen. Nitrogen is the nutrient and the deficiency disease is red leaf of cotton. You can see here in the diagram, this is cotton leaf. And what are the symptoms of this disease? Plant shows poor growth and wilting. Wilting, just now I explained you. Leaves at the lower level, they turn yellow due to lack of respiration, because respiration process goes slow. Leaf margins, they turn yellow and later showed red pigment. You can see here the red pigments are seen. So red pigmentation on the whole leaf, reddening this progresses to stems and leaves, and shading of the leaves occurs. So these are the symptoms of the red leaf of cotton, and this is due to deficiency of nitrogen. Next disease we will see here. Next disease is dwarf cotton, which is caused due to the deficiency of phosphorus. Dwarf means small. Proper growth is not there. So plant shows poor and stunted growth, means height of the plant does not increase. Leaves, they turn into bluish green or purple in color. You can see here in the diagram. So height of the plant does not increase and leaves turns blue or purple in color. Next disease we will see chlorosis, caused due to the deficiency of zinc. Due to deficiency of zinc, photosynthesis is affected. So photosynthesis is affected. So leaves, they turn yellow and leaves may become dwarf, does not increase in size. So you can see these are the symptoms of chlorosis. Now next disease we will see curling of leaf tips. Okay, so this is due to the deficiency of potassium. You can see the due to deficiency of potassium, the leaf tips may curl. You can see here this curl leaf, and leaves, they turn brown with yellow spot. You can see here that leaves are turning in brown color and yellow spots between the leaf veins. So this is the curling of leaf tips. This disease takes place due to deficiency of potassium. Now next and last disease is there, Lyme induced chlorosis. In Lyme induced chlorosis, this is the disease caused due to the deficiency of iron. In this disease what happens? Leaves, they turn yellow or brown at the margin. You can see here the problem starts from this leaf. This is complete green leaf, and at the margin it turns into yellow or brown. Young leaves may show bleaching, means the complete loss of chlorophyll. You can see here. And plants, they produce poor quality of fruits because chlorophyll is reduced here, and due to that photosynthesis is also reduced and food is also produced in less amount. So the poor quality fruits are produced. So understood children? The deficiency diseases and their symptoms, that is the disease caused by the deficiency of nitrogen, that is red leaf of cotton. Deficiency disease caused by phosphorus, that is dwarf cotton. Deficiency disease caused by zinc, that is chlorosis. Deficiency of potassium causes curling of leaf tips, and deficiency of iron causes Lyme induced chlorosis. So in this way the second part of this chapter is completed. Today we have discussed the transpiration and absorption, their relation, direct relationship, then factors affecting transpiration, sunlight, temperature, wind and humidity, importance of transpiration, that is cooling effect, ascent of sap and distribution of minerals, and removal of excess water. Then we have studied translocation of food from leaves, that is transport of food. Then minerals, their types, macronutrients and micronutrients, importance of micronutrients and macronutrients, and the deficiency diseases in the plants due to the deficiency of minerals. So you revise the topics through book also, solve the exercises, and in the next part of this chapter we will study the different activities given in your book. So you revise the first part of also, see that video also. This is the second video. In the next video I will explain you the different activities takes place here to show the transpiration and all that processes. So till that you revise and ask your doubts.